privilege to present with you today. I am joined by Fabiana Nardi from Green Hat, as well as Ali Booth. I'll let Fabiana introduce herself more in just a second. And so just a little background information. We provide webinars and in-person meetups when that is available. It hasn't been available this past year, but when that is available again, we will do that at the Commons, which is a great resource. And we are really happy to partner with the Denver Economic Opportunity and Development Program to present to you these series of webinars on e-commerce. And in these webinars, we talk about everything from last week, Michael talked about from just how to create an e-commerce business, just what are the very first steps from just the paperwork, what you have to do with the Secretary of State, what kind of checking account you might want to open and everything, really basic stuff. Today, Fabiana is going to talk with us about how to brand your e-commerce store and products. And then we have some future webinars already lined up as well about which e-commerce platform to use. And we look, and I'm really excited about this because we actually look at a very broad spectrum. It's pretty cool. We look at stuff that is already kind of existing and you just kind of join their platform. That would include things like Amazon and Etsy. And then we also look at creating your own all the way from the other perspective, hosting and creating your own website, such as with WordPress and WooCommerce, and as well as using maybe a cloud-based solution, such as Shopify. And so it's a very cool series. I'm really happy that all of you could join us. And so Michael, why don't you kind of introduce yourself now, and then I'll have Fabiana introduce herself.
Sure, yeah. Thanks again for having me. So I'm Michael Beavis. I'm the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship for the City of Denver. As Ryan mentioned, I work in the Office of Economic Development and Opportunity. And along with my colleague, Carrie Singer, who's out on vacation this week, we kind of work out of the Commons on Champa, which is kind of free co-working space and kind of a resource hub for entrepreneurs kind of at all stages of the journey. So we always say, if you're starting up, start here. And that includes things like this webinar series, which, as Ryan mentioned, we do often face-to-face prior to COVID, but we're keeping that going. And we offer advisory hours. So anything we can help, connect you with or coach you through on any aspect of your business, as well as connecting you to vital resources within the city to help you kind of grow and scale your business. So happy to be here, and I love these webinar series. So
great, thank you, Michael. Okay, now before I turn it over to Fabiana, let me just mention one thing too, that this is an interactive webinar. We are very happy to take any questions as you go. Please feel free to just jump in. You can either jump in with your voice or via chat, and we will make sure to address your questions. So with that, now, let me turn it over to Fabiana. She can introduce herself and teach us about how to brand an e-commerce store and products.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Fabiana Nardi, and I like to think that I am a brand assessor, as well as also I work with executives, being an executive assessor. So the idea today for our conversation, and I want to reinforce what Ryan said, I feel like this should be more like a conversation between us than anything else. So feel free to ask your questions. But the invitation that I have for you guys today is to think about your brand, the brand of your client, the brand of sometimes yourself, and the brand of your products and services in a deeper way. Not only in relation to, which logo should I pick for my brand, right? Should I rethink my logo? Should I rethink the color palette that we have in our website or in your packages? I would like to invite you for us to discuss a little bit more deeper before making those very important decisions for your brand. So this is the invitation that I have for you all today. I'm going to share my screen now with you. And you're going to have the access to this presentation as well, so you don't feel like you have to make all the notes. Let me go here.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll just say real quick that we will email out a copy of this presentation as well as a video recording of this as well after the event.
Yes, let me go here. Sorry, from the beginning. Let's start the presentation. All right. So we're going to talk about how we can go beyond this idea of how I brand or rebrand my work, my services. And the first question that a lot of companies in certain moment, in certain time, when they think about their brand, they think, why should I brand and how I should rebrand mainly some of my products or my company as a whole. So let's remember that brand is much, much bigger, the concept, than just what you see, like the logo, the colors. But we call brand the experience that a consumer, a client, has in relation to when they interact with that brand. And by interaction, I mean all the different points of interaction through the website, through a store, through the emails, through the newsletter. So any point of contact that a client or customer has with your brand, that's the moment that you're creating what we call the moment of truth about who you are as a brand. And the brand also can be feel, right? You can feel a brand through not only how you visualize this brand, but also when you think about that brand. For example, if I say words like these ones, Google, Pepsi, right? Nike. Whenever I ask you to think about a brand, automatically some words, some keywords show up in your mind that refer to that brand. For example, in my case, I like to use this example because when I think about Lush, that probably you guys are familiar with the what is the name? The soap, the soap brand, right? They have fragrances, they have different types of soaps there. But when I think about Lush, I have the smell of that store every single time that I think about it because it's so strong, the smell that they created in my mind that's for me, I think Lush, I think smell, right? And then probably when you think Google, probably some keywords come up, such as technology, innovation, leading edge. When you think Airbnb, you think, oh, easy way for my vacation, right? And then my invitation for you is when your clients think about your brand, what are the 2 or 3 keywords that show up first in their minds? And are those keywords related to the image that you guys would like your brands to be seen? So my invitation, maybe you can, ask that to your clients or even to, people that your friends, your family. So when I say the name of my company, what are the give me three words that describe that company to you. So that's already can give you some feelings where you are in relation to brand, what qualities your brand has, and are those qualities the ones that you wanted to reinforce through all those different points of contact that I mentioned before, okay? And another point about brand, they evolve. As you can see like the past logo of Pepsi and the current logo, and the same for Google, because brands should be treated as people, as us, right? We evolve, and the brand should evolve as it grows, as it matures. And this gives to your clients that feeling that this brand is evolving with me, is following how I interpret this brand in the journey of my life as well, right? So this is why a lot of companies, very famous companies, now and then they decide to rebrand, to keep that feeling of evolution and maturity in the minds of people. So then my question for you, and then you can use, you can unmute yourself or use the chat. What are some of the reasons that you'd like to think about rebranding your company or yourself? What do you think that is a good time for you to rethink about who you are as a brand? So whoever feel like sharing a little bit about where you are in relation to your brand.
Would anyone like to share what you are, why you are rebranding yourself, or what you're trying to accomplish with the rebrand?
Or just maybe you think why this subject is important for your brand or for your company.
So Ryan, I'll jump in. So my agency, it's Wow Factor Digital. We make the ordinary extraordinary. So everything we do is creating that impression or that impact of people going, wow, that's awesome. So we stand out from the crowd. The challenge we're having right now is we have 3 CBD companies and we're trying to figure out where the niche is with that and what the brand should look like and how it should unfold. We were just about ready to go live before the pandemic, so about a year ago, and we put things on hold. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And each one of these websites goes after a different target audience. And so what we did is try to focus on different demographics to make sure that the site and the messaging relates to that audience. So, so I'm not sure we're there yet. That's kind of why I'm here. I just thought it'd be good to get some additional feedback.
Perfect. Thank you, James, for sharing. Appreciate.
Sure.
And that's perfect because that is the idea of you have 3 different CBD companies, clients, right? I need your help. And I think the big question is, how do I differentiate them in relation to who they truly are, in relation to their culture, in relation to the values, the value proposition that they want to show to the clients? And I hopefully with this, through this conversation today, you see that by asking some questions in relation to who they are as a brand, the values that can help you to differentiate that and give you the keywords that we were talking about to create, the tone of the communication and the visuals that you can use for them. And I think somebody else maybe was trying to say something, or no? That was it? Okay, well, continue. And, please jump in if you feel like sharing. So in general, there are 4 main reasons why a brand, a company would think about it's time to rebrand. So one can be, as I said, the business evolving, right? Is expanding, maybe is entering new markets, it's adding more demographic, to the business. And that is the time that when you look at your brand, you feel the need that how I'm going to add this new concepts to my existing brand. Another one is your mission evolved as well. For example, maybe before you had a company who would sell only mugs, right? And every single little thing about your brand would have a mug related feeling or word related. And now you want to add t-shirts to that, portfolio. So now, you have to rethink about how I'm going to position now that I'm expanding my portfolio of products, right? So this is another good moment to rebrand. Another one is bringing new life to some outdated brand, like, for example, the color palette that you're using on our website maybe doesn't make sense to what is trend right now, or you're still using Time News Roman, right, in a tech word that doesn't, talk to the consumers anymore. So this idea that your brand is not evolving as, whatever is trained in their market is another moment to think about and ask the question, is it time for me to rebrand? And finally, better differentiation from competition. Here I have a story. When you download the PayPal app in your phone, it has like the blue P for PayPal. But the same happens with Pandora. Pandora also has a P that used to be completely blue as well. And then because PayPal had this blue P and Pandora had the blue P, they needed to go to court to decide who was going to use which color, which tone of color, which style of P in order to differentiate. No, this style of P belongs to me, and you can use this style, because when people are going to open their apps, they're going to see this P, and maybe that is going to create some confusion about is it Pandora or PayPal? So this is the moment when the brand should think, well, it's time to rebrand, because some competitors are coming to my industry and they look too close to my own brand. And then is another moment of reflection for the brand. As I said, my invitation is for us to go deeper of this question, which is a very important question for any brand to ask, which is, how can we go beyond the why? When you think of brand, you think, why do I exist as a business? Why do want to offer the services, these products, right? But before the why, it's important for us to understand who is behind the why. Who is this culture, these people, these values that are supporting who we are as a brand? And a lot of companies, they don't ask the question. They go straight to answer the why instead of giving a step back and ask more questions about who we are as a brand first. So then we can better answer the why question. And when you think about who we are as a brand, you see that a lot of the books out there are going to talk about the culture behind a brand. And culture is look very close to what you see with the fish, right? We don't know who discovered the water, but definitely wasn't the fish, right? Culture, when you are inside of a culture, and mainly when you are the one who is creating that culture, let's say you are an independent professional, putting together a website, e-commerce for yourself. That's so much more difficult to understand what kind of culture I'm bringing to my brand that I want my clients to perceive, right? This is the moment when it makes sense to have some type of direct questions about who I am as a culture, so I can use that information in order to support all my marketing materials, all my my website development, my visuals, right? Because once I know what the values I'm bringing to this brand, then all the communication, they are aligned to, and they make sense in the mind of the consumer and the client who is interacting with your brand. And culture is something that for a lot of people, they think it's intangible, that you feel it, but you can describe it. But that's not completely true. There are so many now tools, research out there that can create assessments and create language that companies can use to describe the culture behind a brand. Once you describe, once you give that language, then you go from the intangible to the tangible, and then you start to measure your culture, you start to manage, and you start to change it, if you will. But while you don't go through that process in a very consciousness way, still who you are as a brand, it will be like the fish. I feel it, it's around me, but I don't know how to, give words to describe who I am. There are many, as I said, many tools, assessments out there to help you to guide your clients or guide your, self process of rebranding. One that we've used is based on something called the archetypes. And probably you've seen or heard this, either the word archetype before, or some of the names of the archetypes that you see on the screen. The archetypes is a language that some companies use to describe the culture of the company, but also who you are. You can describe yourself through the lenses of the archetypes, or the culture of a company. And what is so benefit about using a common language is because the archetypes are intuitive. For example, if I tell you your brand, one of the main archetypes is based on the hero archetype. And when I say the hero archetype, and if I say either your brand or yourself has the story of the hero archetype, probably you already started to hear or thinking about some words that hero archetypes bring when they are in action. For example, Hollywood, all the movies of Hollywood, they're based on the hero journey, right? So if you remember mainly the actions movies, right? If you remember what the hero's journey is oh, this hero starts in very something, he's taking his life and suddenly something from nowhere happens, right? And then this hero needs to face the fears, face the challenges of that happening. And then he goes and he fights, he kills the dragon, he almost dies in the process, but he comes back, and then everybody follows him from them on, right? Companies who have the hero story behind the brand are the ones who are very focused on results. They are results driven. They need this challenge. They really want to show the clients that they're going to go to the extra mile, doesn't matter what. And they wanted to show the client that they are very, very focused on values. That because heroes, they defend the values, right? The principles. So these companies, you're going to find companies that fall in the hero archetype culture that are those that they usually they work 24 hours. They don't stop. They are really like there for you. And each of these archetype, it has a story that's supported, that you can see either yourself through them or your brand through them. So let's now have a quick quiz with you guys. And probably you are asking yourself, right? Who am I in this archetype world that I'm bringing that to my brand? That if I know who I am, maybe that can help me to better describe my brand through the archetype lens. I'm going to show you one scenario, and I'm going to invite you to pick from the scenario what is your best answer for that challenge that the scenario is going to bring. So pick, I know that probably you say, well, out of the 6, I feel myself in 3. But for the sake of the exercise, pick your first best answer. But that those other 3, of course, can inform you later who you are in this archetype assessment here. I'm going to give you some time for that. And here we go. This is the situation. So the situation is your manager has asked you to design a personal logo. In order to do so, your first thoughts are, so you see that we have here from 1 to 6 some options. And let me continue. The second page has another 6 options. So I'm going to invite you to read the first 6 and pick one. And then we go to the next slide. You read and pick another one from the next, okay? I'm going to give you a few, like 1 minute or so for you to pick your best answer. All right. So now, if you need 1 second or more, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to the next slide for you to find your second option. All right. So now that you probably picked the two options, as you can see, I'm sure there are more options that you would have picked as well. Each of these sentences is related to the description and the qualities of one of those 12 archetypes. And let me know that, let me tell you that we have all the 12 archetypes inside of us, if you will. But there are 1, 2, or 3 archetypes that we call the most to answer when we are under pressure or how we go through life. We have some preferences about how I face difficult challenges, how I face difficult situations. And those archetypes are the ones who are inform us about our value system. So our value system will be based on those stories of those archetypes. The same thing for the brand. Once you identify what the 3 main archetypes of a brand is, those archetypes are going to inform you what kind of value system I'm bringing to my clients, and are my clients, feeling and seeing those value systems behind my brand. So let me give you now which archetypes related to each answer. And then I would like to invite, 1 or 2 people to share if it was a surprise, if it was not, and why you think that archetype, how you see you through the lenses of that archetype. So here we go. For the first page, the first one is the innocent. Then you have the hero, the explorer, the revolutionary, the ruler, and the sage. So from this page, let me ask you this question. Any of you there had, for example, the revolutionary as an answer? Or how many had the revolutionary as an answer? You can put it on the chat there. Do we have, I can see the chat. Do we have any numbers in the chat, Ali?
I think everyone should be in it, but I haven't seen anything posted in there yet.
So what about the hero? Do we have heroes today? Let's see here. I think somebody posted one on the chat.
I did.
Who did? Sorry.
James. Yeah, I did.
Hey,
Hero.
hey, James. Okay, thank you. How do you see when you read the sentence there? What kind of keywords called your attention? Those sentences.
It's all about results.
All about results. That's an important keyword for a hero, right? A hero is focused on results and gives, as I said, the extra mile to get to those results, doesn't matter what. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. And when you see yourself, if you don't mind sharing, if when you see yourself attending your clients or supporting your clients, how do you see the story of the hero in attending those clients? How do you bring the hero to them?
I show them track record of success.
You show track records of success. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good hero is all about numbers as well. A lot of heroes, they feel comfortable about numbers, about analytical. So they have a very analytical mindset as well. So those are characteristics. And if you build a brand right out from where you are as a hero, probably your website will show, oh, these are some past experiences that we got a lot of good results.
That's it exactly.
Right?
We do a lot of testimonials and also case studies.
That's awesome. That's great. And if you add, for example, the sage, let's say if you also have, let's pretend that you have the sage as your second from this page. The sage archetype is all about bringing knowledge, bring wisdom to the conversation. So you're going to see brands who use a lot of the sage archetype saying things like this. We got 10 certifications in doing this. We write white papers about what is the best for your company. So the sage companies, they on their website, for example, you're going to see a lot of white papers, a lot of research, everything we have a resource or a source to base on. So sage companies, they value knowledge and they value to transmit that knowledge to the clients. And you can feel that. So that's an example how some companies add the sage when that's part of their value system. So now the next page, let's see who you guys are on the next page. The first one is the every person. The other is caregiver, lover, creator, magician, and jester. Let's see, do we have anybody who would like to share your archetype from this page? Anyone got surprised?
Looks like Gerald said he answered as a creator on this one.
Okay, a creator. Yes, so a creator, the creator archetype in action for companies is usually they are going to show you many different alternatives. Creators are those people, they are taking a shower and their mind doesn't stop. They're thinking, oh yeah, there is this thing that I can do. Oh, there is also, but I saw the other thing on the TV that I can add to my idea. So their minds don't stop. It's like 24, a lot of ideas and suggestions. So the creator, the other quality of creators, they have an idea, but those ideas are very practical. This is the difference between creator and the magician. The magician, who have the magician, they have a lot of ideas, but they are visionaries. Those ideas more about the future. What is the future bringing? Where are we going from here? You're going to find a lot of magicians in leading edge tech company, because those are the people who are creating the future for us right now, right? So the magician is more about bringing and creating the future, while the creator is more about what are the problems that I have right now, and what are all the different alternatives that I can solve my problems right now. Creators are much more practical. They are much more action oriented, while the magician or the visionaries, they are more futuristic oriented, if you will. So again, if your brand is more based on the stories of a creator, on your website, for example, you are going to offer many alternatives to the clients. You are going to tell the clients that you have alternatives to different problems that this client has, for example. But if your brand is based on the visionary, you're going to say, you're going to help the clients to envision the future and all the possibilities that the future can bring to him or her. So this is the tone, the different ways that you can explore the usage of these stories, for example. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. And I want to ask, who said the creator? Sorry, Ellie, who said, I forgot. Was
That was
Jason?
Jared.
Huh?
Jared.
Jared. So Jared, you'd like to add or make and comment about why you think you are a creator?
Well, I've always been able to come up with unique ways of going after things, but then the second part of that is sometimes have a problem deciding which one to follow through on.
Oh my goodness, Jared, you just said the same for the creator. And this is exactly like, let me tell you this, every single archetype, whatever behavior you have that's too much, that can create what we call a shadow or an overuse of that value, that behavior. So the overusage of a hero, let me ask you this question. If you have the hero in you and you want to kill like 2,000 dragons per day, 7 days per week, how do you feel at the end of a week? You don't exist, right? You're burnt out, you can't think anymore. There is no such thing as family. There's no, right? You just it's too much. It's too much to be a hero, right? 24/7. And somebody told me once, because I was saying, well, but heroes need to save the world and, like they need to work a lot. It's like, no, wait, Fabiana. Heroes don't have family in the movies. Heroes don't have to, put the land to wash, the clothes. So heroes don't have that. We don't see that, right? But when we have the hero in us, we need to balance it out. We can't go to the extreme. And the extreme of the creator, Jared, is what you said. You have so many ideas. Your mind doesn't stop bringing those ideas. But then, which one should I choose from? It's too many to choose from. And then that can cause you anxiety. Then they can cause you that feeling of, I can move because I don't know which one I'm going to pick. Does that make sense for you, Jared?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so now each of these archetypes, as I said, they bring some values and descriptions that you can support your brand, right? When you are describing who you are as a brand. And as I said, they have the shadow side. And the importance of looking at the shadow is, am I going to that extreme with my clients? Is the extreme creating barriers for me in relation to how I'm presenting myself to my clients, right? So the shadow side of each archetype is very important for us to ask that question so we can be proactive and create strategies that I don't transmit that to my clients, and also for me to create a brand that is using the best of the health side of it and not the shadow side of it. Some companies, they literally use the language of their archetypes in their website. For example, the Patagonia brand, as you can imagine now, is all based on the explorer archetype. And why the explorer? For those of you who has the explorer is all about trying to find what there is beyond the mountain, after that mountain, what can I find there? Now, is that idea of always trying something new. And usually the explorer archetype is all about, I go there by myself. I don't need help. Because when you see the explorer, in the image of explorer, is that person with the backpack, right? Going after something, right? The pioneers. Explorer brand usually is very sustainable as well. They think about the environment where they are and they honor that environment, for example. So the Patagonia, they use like keywords that bring that archetype inside of us. For example, this is the page that you see this a small text there is from their page to try to attract talents to work for Patagonia. And they say, hey, we hire people who spend times in the mountains or the wild, and we seek the dirt bags. And why they're using those keywords? Because they really want to attract talents who are aligned with their values and their brand. So this is a way to code the value system and the brand persona that they have into something tangible. Another example is, for example, the McKinsey, this huge consulting company. And when you navigate their website, you're going to find a lot of words related to Sage, of course, right? Because a consulting company is all about sharing knowledge. It's all about sharing research, sharing wisdom to their with the clients. So the feeling of the website and the words and the colors that they use is everything to remember or help you to think about intelligence, to think about data and gathering of information and how we can use that information. So this is another example for the Sage. And as I said, we all have the 12 and a culture, because the culture in a brand, nothing is but the collective of our values together. A culture of a brand also has all the 12. But once you ask the question, you start to identify who those 12 are, you start to find patterns of behaviors, patterns of how people do work, do business through this brand. For example, this company here, we did an assessment for them, and they found out that the hero, the ruler, and the sage were the top 3. Usually we look at the top 3 as the ones that you want to focus more. And when I see that already tells me a story. And the story of this brand for me is, this company is all about results. They are going to, they're going to the extra mile. They are determined, and they have a lot of processes, because the rulers are about systems in place, process, being effective. And they also don't have problems with power, because rulers, they want to know who is responsible for what, who has the power of deciding or making what kind of decisions. And we are all about knowledge, research, data, information. So for me, this company can be, for example, a bank, right? Bank, you're going to find results, numbers, you're going to find the process systems, and you're going to find the information about finances, like how they share that with the clients. Can be a bank, can be a wealth management company, and can be also a consulting company, for example. So based on that, you start to create the stories behind the brand. And once you identify some of those stories, it's important to validate that with your team, with the organization. And we validate this by identifying the keywords that describe those archetypes. We identify what are the key messages that I want to bring to life when I'm creating my website through the lenses of my main archetypes. And also, what are the stories that I want to share with my clients that really tells the story that my archetypes are playing in behind the scenes, okay? And when you do this inventory, for example, you're going to find that some of the archetypes, maybe they're missing in this story. Maybe there are some types of archetypes that either is very low or they don't exist in my brand. And the question is this a problem? Well, it's only a problem if you are feeling the feedback, you're receiving feedback from the market that something is missing. So for example, if your company doesn't have a gesture, and gesture is all about fun, having fun, a light environment to work, the way that you connect with your clients is very joyful, is very playful. But maybe I am a bank and I'm very serious and I want to transmit exactly the opposite of being so playful, right? Because people need to trust me. So not having the gesture to hi in my type of business or the type of product service that I want to offer is not a big deal. But in some cases, and we had clients with that, they noticed that they didn't have the ruler. And because they didn't have the ruler, or the ruler is so low in their brand, they didn't have systems that the clients really could trust, because the system sometimes would work or not work, wasn't so focused for them to think about having more effective systems and processes in place. So then we identified that could, was being a damage for the image that they were transmitting to the client. And once you are done with this assessment, then you can come up what your main 3 archetypes are and how they communicate with each other. Maybe some of them are higher in how they transmit the values than the other 2. The other 2, maybe they support more your process internally, and one of them support more your process in relation to your clients. These are some very strategic conversations that you can have with your team or yourself, if just you. And the archetypes can be used, or this value system can be used not only for branding, but also for hire and develop talents in your company, because now you know what kind of people would match better the brand and the value system that I have in my company, like what Patagonia did on their website. And now to finish, I would like to show you a study case that how we applied this whole assessment of archetypes to create a brand for a company. And one of our clients was this painting company, and they really want to know how to rebrand themselves. And by asking those questions, like some of the questions that I asked you, then we come up that they have 3 main archetypes in the story of their brand. And those were the lover, the caregiver, and the hero. And not only we found out that because they answered the questions that we asked, but also because of the stories that they brought and how they said, look, here at our company, we really worked like weekends, when in this area nobody works during the weekends, for example. So we really go the extra mile to attend our clients. And also here we fight for the rights of our clients, because one of the owners is a lawyer, and for her to be very fair with the contract is a value so important. So if there's anything that we see that the contract with our clients is off, we go to the client and we explain and we honor our contract with our clients. So by listening to the stories that they brought, then it was very easy for them to identify where they were in relation to those archetypes. And after validating the archetypes, we go to another discussion, which was, what are some of the words that better describe who you are in relation to each archetype? So we together came up with a list of these words for hero, for the lover, and for the caregiver. And those words, literally, if you ask the owners of this company, why did you choose like courage to take risks? They have a story to tell. Or why do you see the beauty in the details? They have a story to tell for that. So it's so much easier now for them to sell who they are to their clients using those words, because they literally have one story to justify each of those words.
And Fabi, we did have a question in the chat as well. Amazing said that they just outsourced their logo to a freelance company. The logo they're going to use is for the tags that go in clothing, and they wanted to know what they should do. Should they go for the high expense logo, or just wanted to get your opinion on that?
Okay, so can you please summarize the question for me, since I'm not reading it and it seems like a lot of comments there? Sorry. What would be the main question?
So basically, they're getting a logo from a freelance company, and basically just want to know if they should go for like a high expense logo or not.
That's a great question. Yes. So let me answer this. I feel like the high expense is not exactly where you should be looking at. Where you should be looking at when you look at this logo, because it can be a very simple logo, right? But does this logo brings to you and to your clients these keywords, these values that represent your brand? Because you can have a lot of marketing companies out there. They are going to create beautiful, you're going to spend a lot of money in creating beautiful logos. But the question is, and this is what happened with this company specifically, they had a logo before that was nice and they paid a lot for that as well. But it didn't transmit those words that you were looking at. It didn't talk back to those words, for example, of values and who they were as a brand. So I think the question is, does this logo speak the language of my brand, and I see myself through this logo with the value system that I want to bring to my brand or not? It's not about the price, it's about the logic that this company used to create your logo. And let me just give an example for this company that we are talking about here, the painting company. Then what we did was, I created for them this sentence that you see there. Each sentence has a color code that speaks back to the archetypes that we identified. So for example, when it says, we are committed to make a difference in the world and in people's lives, this speaks back to the lover. By helping others, this is also about the lover, to transform their expectations in beautiful and perfect environment where they feel comfortable in being in. So now, once you have that this list of who I am for in relation to each archetype, I can play, mix and match those with those words to create statements that I can use in my website, that I can use in my marketing material, in different places. And these are some examples that we just bring to them that they said to justify, right, why we have those three. And you can come up with taglines. Those are some taglines that also I created and offered to them. And actually, we used some of these taglines for their website. And this is what I want to show. That was the brand before, and this is the brand after. And the brand after, we want a shark because they love sharks. They're from San Diego. The guy is part of their story to be a surfer, so needed to have a shark. But shark is all about determination, not be afraid, which is related to be a hero. The color gradient is about painting, right? How you have to have this mix of color, how the details of blending colors together. The circular movement is about embracing, which is about, the lover, the feeling of being embraced by the company and supported. And the masked fonts is because they are focused on details. And when you mask, right, to paint, you really want to be sure that you're not, crossing lines there. So this is how the new logo speaks back to the whole process. And then we create for them some business cards to, follow, was part of the process, as well as a brand guide to support and to let them know how to use the new color palette that speaks back to the archetypes and the values. Okay, so that was how you apply. Question for you. I know that we have 1 minute left, but do you guys have other questions about what we talked today?
Fabiana, I think that was very good. And one thing that, I appreciated about Amazing Duncan's question is, about like how, or what's the most important when paying for a logo? And I would agree that, the expense, the costs is not the most important thing. And even like necessarily the quality is not the most important thing. I would say as what you are saying, what you're teaching us, is that what the most important thing is that it accurately communicates who you are and your values. I think that that is really important. I mean, almost like the logo could be, you could sacrifice even some quality, get a lower quality one, but as long as it's has this, it's accurately communicating your values, who you are, there's going to be that consistency. And that's really important when creating, when people are trying to identify with your brand, right?
Any other question or comment? James, do you think, I'm curious, James, do you think that makes sense for you when I talked about the CBD companies and how maybe this can help you think a little bit the difference there?
Yeah, absolutely. This was a fantastic presentation. It brought up some new things for me to expand and to think about, and phenomenal presentation. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, James. Thank you.
It was good. Thank you.
All right, so I would like to honor the time of you guys. Thank you so much for sharing this hour with us. And as Ryan said, we're going to send this presentation to you. And if you have any questions, please access us because I'll be more than happy to talk to you about your specific questions, okay?
All right. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again. And we'll see you. Oh, our next meetup is in 2 weeks from now. And the subject is, hold on one second, let me take a look here. It's how to optimize images for fast loading. So this is very important. Website performance is very important. We know that Google takes this seriously. Your customers will appreciate a faster loading website. And so in our next webinar on April 21st, 11 o'clock Mountain Time, not 12:30 Mountain Time as it was today, but 11 o'clock, we will look at how to optimize your images, when to use a JPEG, when to use a PNG, and even some conversation too about video. So I hope you can join us for that. Keep a lookout on our email address, or if you're keep a lookout for the email announcing this more, and you can sign up. But thank you again very much for coming out and participating here today.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
Bye.